There's a new sport that's taking the country by storm and it's growing in leaps and bounds here in South Africa. It is the sport of Padel, or Padel, depending who you ask. And to tell us more about Padel Pandemonium, we have the enthusiasts here from Padel News Network and a former golfer who is now playing Padel. Can you believe it? But let's start with Zahid Gada from Padel News Network. Thank you for joining us on SABC. You've been passionate about this. You even have rankings. Just tell us about the growth of this sport in the country.
Yeah, I mean, the growth has been unbelievable. It's been surprising. People thought it's a fad coming in, but it's a sport that just keeps growing. Yeah. You know, it's a sport, people are addicted to it. So they play and they want to bring someone else on there to share their joy.
And you've now come up with the rankings. How did you come up with these rankings, and what's the importance now of the rankings? Is it a sign of how seriously people are taking the sport? Okay,
it's not exactly rankings. Rankings are still needed, and that has to come into the game. But it's more of voting. So we had a list of who are the best. People kept asking us. We would post tournament winners constantly, and people would often ask, but who's the best player? And so then we said, okay, you know what, let's find out. And then we had voting on that. And that's where that list came out, where Richard Ashworth from the men's side and Mane Ruiz from the female side ended up on top of the pyramid.
Okay, wonderful. And then Shazad is also here, former professional golfer who's now paddling, as you call it. Just tell us about your involvement with Padel.
Thanks for having me, Tabiso. So I'm involved with two clubs, 10x20 Padel Club and NetSet Padel. We've got clubs all over the country. Our main clubs in Johannesburg are 10x20 Killarney Country Club and NetSet Padel Sandton City. We've got indoor courts at Killarney and at Sandton, two of the premier venues in Johannesburg. So we've got 4 indoor courts at Killarney and 4 indoor courts at Sandton City. And I'm saying premier because we've noticed how paddle's changed from starting off as an outdoor sport where everyone had outdoor courts, and now it's moving more and more to people playing indoors. I think weather contributes to that, and just conditions. I mean, it's perfect conditions when you play indoor. There's no wind, no sun. So yeah, we just noticed.
And why did you decide then to invest in paddle?
So like you said, I was a professional golfer. I played 5-6 years on the Sunshine Tour, and about 3 years ago, a friend of mine playing a round of golf, and he said, you know, there's this new sport called Padel, let's go try it out. So I thought, okay, give it a shot. And we played at the Pirates Club in Amarantia. And from the first time I held a racket, I loved it. And there's something about the sport, when you hit a shot, it grips you. And yeah, I took to it. And then a couple of months later, I met my business partner now, Adrian Jacobs, who was the owner of the 10x20 at Killarney. And yeah, we've just grown from strength to strength.
Yeah, and Zahid, you are Padel News Network. You're very passionate. You're covering the sport. It's been happening around the world. Who are some of the top countries, or where is it most popular around the world? Because I hear some people call it Padel.
Okay, Spain and Argentina. In Spanish, it's more like pedal, you know, not pronounced the way I do, of course. But in the Netherlands and places like sometimes France, you'd hear people use the fancy term padel.
Yeah.
You know, but not in South Africa either. We generally say paddle. So if you're on a 15, say paddle.
Okay, don't try to be smart. But I've seen some former players are playing the sport. I saw you've got a YouTube channel now, Padel News Network, and you spoke to one of the De Boer twins.
Yes, I mean, he's also a passionate paddle. He was one of the first guys to bring paddle to Holland.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's passionate about it. He's also a former golfer, and you know, once he's finished his football career, he needed to find a sport. And paddle was that sport. Once he tried it, fell in love with it, and then decided, okay, we need to make this investment into Plaza Padel that's what they call it in Holland, Padel, right? Plaza Padel. In Holland, yes.
Oh, wonderful. Great interview. Shazad, just tell us now, how accessible is Padel, and what does one have to do if they want to start playing now and join a club?
So Padel is very accessible. I mean, it's easy to book. There's an app called Playtomic. So if you download the app and you search for a court, it will give you the court closest to the location that you're at. So if we're looking for the closest court, probably bring up Marks Park. And then you can choose. You want to play 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. You book on the app. If you don't have guys to play with, you create an open match and people can join your match. Or you can just contact the club and say, you know what, I'm new to paddle, I want to play, and we'll help you find guys to play with. So,
and equipment, do you have to get your own equipment? Do you provide equipment?
So you can rent equipment at the court, we rent rackets, you can hire balls, you can hire rackets, so you don't have to buy straight away. So a lot of the guys who are starting out will come and hire rackets, play a few times, and then once they like the sport and know what racket they're looking for, then they'll go out and buy it.
And just finally, beside Richard, we're hoping to connect with him, but he's in Portugal training there. Hopefully we'll get him some other time. Who are the other top players in the country?
There's quite a number and a few other upcoming guys. Egmond van Heerden is one of the guys. Jason Blakey Milner, Adam van Harte, to name a few. Zaidi Patel. There's a long list in the men's side. Debbie van Aswegen, women's side.
Yeah.
So we do. There's a big list, and you know, there's a lot of upcoming people where they may not have made the 2014 list, but yeah, I mean, they're already making some waves for this year.
They must make the 2025 list.
There we go.
Okay, thank you guys for joining us and finding out more about Padel. I'm not going to try and say Padel, but great work you're doing with the Padel News Network. Keep us posted there, and I can see that the sport is catching on. And from golf, so what's your handicap now?
So I'm still a scratch, but I don't play as much. Like you say, I'm pedaling more now.
Because you're paddling. Thank you, Zahid, and thank you, Shazad, for joining us here. It's been a pleasure finding out more about the sport of Padel.